welcome to VNN Canada with me, Nivedna Prabhu. Today in the studios, I have a very special guest joining us. I'm joined by Ivy Reiss, who is the founder of the Artis Media Network with its Artis Art and Culture magazine and director and host for the Artis with Ivy Reiss talk show series. Ivy is a destination food and theatre review writer and has covered shows from Second City, Mirvish and Muskoka music festivals, as well as destinations in the UK, including the Nobo Food Festival. She's also a noted spoken word performer, and her poetry has been published in anthologies and magazines. Ivy, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us in our studios today.
Thank you for having me, Niv.
How are you doing, Ivy?
I'm good. It's been a busy week, but I'm very good. Thank you.
So if it's been a busy week, we're talking about great work happening around you.
Yes.
So in terms, of course, you've been in the industry for years. And my first question, of course, in regard to that would be, what do you believe is the biggest challenge today in the publishing industry or the writing industry? For the new term that has been doing the rounds is boomer, a senior writer or an artist. Considering you've seen the challenges and developments over the years, what do you believe is the biggest challenge for them?
Yes. Well, we are in a really challenging time right now for the publishing and print media industry.
Right.
So it is challenging for everybody with technology having changed so much in the last, changed the industry so much in the last 10 years. For baby boomers in particular, which the Artis magazine focuses on, the 45 plus age demographic is one of our focuses. And I think, well, one of the things that inspired me to make that focus when I started the magazine in 2017 was that it's very hard for emerging writers in general across the board to have to build a platform to get that first chance in being published, but especially when someone's a baby boomer, someone's over the age of 50, 60, it's even harder. And well, the concept behind the magazine is Artis is Latin for art and skill. And as an event coordinator in Oakville for a number of years, I noticed the rich talent there. And with the magazine itself, the mandate talks about, you know, if you've been practicing your art for 20 plus years, you're going to be good at it. And a lot of these people have raised families, have, you know, are retiring or have retired from their careers. And throughout their whole life, for 20, 30 years, they continued to practice their art. It wasn't a passing phase. And that means it's quality. They didn't just give up. And now they're retired, or the kids are out of the home, and they have a lot more time to focus full time on that art that they've honed for so many years, and they're doing it. But they didn't have that opportunity to get published when they were younger. So it's kind of a combination of their art is really good, but also just a lot of people, when they're wanting to publish emerging artists, they focus on the younger generation. And so if you're an established artist in the older range category, it's easy to get published. However, if you are older and emerging, it is more challenging.
So the Artis magazine and the network definitely gives them a platform to do so. You did mention about the fact that everything has changed because of technology today. So how do you envision the future for the publishing industry or even print magazine per se? Because even news media outlets or any media organization is making a conscious choice to move to the digital space.
Absolutely. That conscious choice is being made because, for a couple of reasons. I wanted to ensure that the importance of art reaches a broader audience. And because people are reading less, it seems, or at least reading longer pieces less, they're reading a lot of tidbits online from things. I was worried that the importance of art, which does affect every day of our life, every second of our everyday, was being lost, and that the magazine wasn't enough to show that importance. So I thought I would start the talk show for that reason, to bring art to the forefront. Everyone who comes onto the Artis with Ivy Reiss talk show will have a topic that is close to their heart, that is usually politically or socially informed. And we talk about that, and as it relates to their own artwork, and then we talk about their artwork as well, whereas the magazine publishes their artwork.
You spoke about what the intention was with the show, but if you could tell us a little bit about your background and how you decided to get into the industry.
I've been active on the art and culture scene since about 2008, 2007, and I've been writing for over 25 years. So, but 2007, 2008 was when I first started reading my poems live. And then I took over the Lit Cafe in Oakville Lit Cafe in 2012 and ran that for 4 years. And in 2016, and it became extremely popular. I saw an opportunity to really turn a lit event into what I thought it should be, because having had been on the scene for a number of years by 2012, I saw what I felt were deficiencies.
So you did see the loopholes and the challenges, but also kind of how to fix it.
I saw the challenges that artists faced, that people who were going on open mics faced. I saw the way events were being run, and I knew that I would run it differently.
Right.
I didn't like what I was seeing, to be quite blunt. So I wanted a really inclusive and equal environment with any event that I would run. And so when I was asked to take on the Lit Cafe, that's what I did. I created a really diverse, inclusive environment where everyone is treated equally. We still had features, but everyone had an intro, for example, and it was a very warm and encouraging environment. And I think that that was one of the key reasons. And it doesn't. I don't believe in kind of gossip or social politics, so it didn't play into any of that. And I think in that way it broke down barriers, because it welcomed everybody. So in the end, we were featured on Cogeco Cable's Art Matters in 2013 as the go-to hub. We had people coming from Toronto and as regularly. I would say about 50% of our people came from Toronto or more. And we also had, as far as the UK and the US, we had people coming from Cambridge, really far western Ontario.
So, having, said that, considering Oakville is a part of the GTA, what do you believe the GTA is lacking in terms of the art community or the art culture? Is it lacking anything, if you were to give your thoughts about that?
No, I don't think so, but that's a great question. I think, well, I mean, of course one could, anything, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think I would say that in the last decade, I've seen a lot of changes within the art community. So what I saw in the, 2007, 2008, 2010s, I think that has changed a lot. I think things have become more diverse. I think things have opened up. I'm really impressed with Toronto, the GTA, and the 905 art scene. I think we are one of the best in the world, and I see it daily. I see artists on the scene everywhere in Toronto, and many of them are doing, everyone is basically doing volunteer work. They're running events, they're creating their own art, they're doing everything they can to keep the scene really strong, and they're doing an amazing job.
You did mention about having a diverse audience. So that also talks about how you've had South Asian writers in your magazine. And if you could talk to us about that, a few examples, how important do you think is diversity when you're putting a magazine together?
It's very important, of course. And I think that was also one of the unique things with the 905, is that it is one of the most diverse areas. Right. And people usually think about Toronto, but in the 905 regions, which I think are 28, which includes Oakville, Mississauga, Brampton, Georgetown, etc., Burlington. It's very diverse. And in regard to the South Asian artists, I'm proud to say we've had a number of them, 5 or 6. So Yannick Kashavji was the feature artist here on Artis number 2. So he was an emerging artist. He has actually moved back to South Africa.
Okay.
But he was a South Asian and artist, and it's sad that he left us, and this was his first time being published. And we've had Meena Chopra, and I'm proud to say that everyone knows Meena, of course, I think, on the Mississauga scene. And when we published this piece here, She, the Restless Streak image, which became the cover of her book, this was 2 months prior to this image winning first place with the Visual Art Mississauga Award in June 2018. And this is obviously a black and white rendition. And she also had some poems in here and a couple more images. She will, I would like to announce, be one of the featurette artists in the 5th upcoming issue. We've published Zora Zobari a number of times. What was really cool, she has poems in 3 issues, but I really liked, with this one, we did From the Stage to the Page. And we did an excerpt from Zora's play, which actually sold out to over 120,000 people at the Mississauga Arts Council, Best Performing Arts Group. It won by the Mississauga Arts Council and was attended by over 120,000 people at the 2-day South Asian Festival. Oh, and Nav Gurm, So I believe this was her, she was also a featurette artist in the third issue, and she's a visual artist. She advocates for mental health. She's a Mississauga resident, and she obviously creates a lot of visual art, but I'm not sure if she's held exhibitions or been published before, but I think this was her debut. Also, the cover artist here is Abel Mikonen. We launched his career. He's an acquired brain injury survivor, and he had an exhibit just 28 days after the huge spotlight event, and his visual arts took everyone by storm.
You, of course, mentioned earlier about your interest in politics, and you know, the fact that in 2016 you did go to Nunavut for investigating reporting, because I did see an interview of yours where you were talking about how you went down there to understand housing crisis and different things that, of course, affect the region. So, with the current protests, what is your take on the same?
I'm really actually disappointed in the Liberal government, in Pierre Trudeau. And I think that what the Wet'suwet'en, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, have been asking for is very reasonable. They were asking for the RCMP to be removed from their land before they want to engage in talks. And that is obviously with the history that they have with the RCMP, with the oppression, with the residential schools, with the way that the children were being kidnapped and taken by the RCMP. And only, I mean, and this isn't down to the 60s and 70s, it's not even that long ago. You cannot have negotiations or proper talks when there's someone standing there with a gun, and it is their land. They have every right to simply request the RCMP to leave. And the other day when Trudeau announced that the onus is on them and that they will be removed from, you know, blocking the train tracks and all that, because the conversations are a standstill, I was extremely disappointed. I think there was a lot of lip service. I feel that there was a lot of lip service being paid, which in the end meant nothing. The RCMP have no right to be on their land. And for 2 weeks leading up to it, you know, Trudeau, among other cabinet ministers, Christina Freeland, and we're all saying that interestingly enough, Scheer had said that everything is being done for optics, and then he was banned from the meeting. But anyway, but they were saying that they want to, you know, obviously give, you know, allow things to be fair.
You know, Ivy, before I let you go, I actually wanted to find out, with the fact that you've been in the travel destination writing culture for so long, right, and everything has changed, of course, like I started off by saying it's a dynamic industry. You're looking at trends all the time. You're trying to keep up with technology, but still keep the love for artists and writing intact. My question to you would be, of course, we spoke about started, but what advice would you like to give young writers, with, of course, with keeping your experience in mind? What would you like to tell them?
For anyone looking to get started, I would say just write, submit to magazines, don't be afraid of rejection, send pitches, practice your craft, and if you've taken studies in university, obviously, you know, you keep practicing your craft. I'm a university graduate and from U of T, and I do think there is a strong value to colleges as well, where you do get an internship. Right. And I would maybe go back to school for that opportunity. So if someone is kind of at the cusp where they're trying to decide what to do, I've seen now firsthand over the last 3 years since graduation the benefit that internships and placements have. And the Humber School of Writers is also has excellent results. So if someone really wants to work within the publishing industry, as in like being an editor at a publishing house or something, then there are those opportunities to explore. Ryerson University offers a publishing certificate, which also helps get a job. So there's a couple ways to go about it, but freelancing is definitely difficult, but it's worth it. And then there's also, it's, you know, or you can get your foot in the door in one of the houses, but it does help having an internship to do that, in my experience.
Having said that, are there certain things that in the industry that's demanding people right now? For young students per se, is there something else that they have to have apart from just writing to make it, you know, big?
Definitely. A strong social media presence is extremely important, and you know, if you can have a website, or even just a really well-attended blog through Facebook page. For anyone, even if they're 13, 14, 15, still in high school, they love to write, get a daily blog going, have a website, you can get one from Squarespace for like $200, and just write and get it out there, have followers, and that, so by the time you're ready to embark on doing it professionally a few years later upon graduation, or by the time you're pitching your freelance, you've got that following and that social media platform, and that will definitely, that hones your craft, but it's the beginning of that platform.
So Ivy, I would like to really thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us on VNN Canada. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Niv. I'd love to give a shout out to Mary Ellen Corsill, who does PR for the Artis magazine. She's incredible, and she's also the coordinator of the Courtney Park Writers Group. And you can find her at mek@rogers.com, I believe, or contact the artismagazine@gmail.com to find her. And also Norman Christoffoli for doing our events page. We list over 100 events in the GTA and 905. So there's literally up to, pun intended, two to three events a night, like literary events for people to attend. He does a great job with that, but please check it out on the artismagazine.com website. And the 5th issue will be featuring a world exclusive with Lawrence Hutchman's visual art, and he will be our feature artist, and Meena Chopra and Pat Connors will be our featurettes for the 5th issue, and we have some other exciting announcements coming up soon.
Well, that was great to know that this is the team behind the Artis Media Network and, of course, the magazine. Thank you once again for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure having you with us in our studio.
Thank you, Niv. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Well, that was Ivy Reiss talking to us about what the Artis magazine kind of intends to do with the art and the community. And if you are looking for more details about the art scene, like Ivy said, you can always log on to artismagazine.com, and you can get information about all the events and the art scene happening. Until next time, Nivedna Prabhu signing off for VNN Canada.